NewWorld is a action-packed high fantasy MMO set on a medieval island with PvP, dungeons, crafting, and more. In today's video, I'll be rating this game based on how fun it is, how much replayability it has, how well the game looks, how easy the game is to get into for new players, and how friendly the community is. When first loading up the game, you're immediately met with ear-piercing audio and an area where you can select your preferred server. But this is also the first area you can make a mistake on, as a lot of servers are dead or dying, so if you don't pick a high-pop server, the chances of success significantly drop.
I think I'm just going to make two different characters, honestly. I think we're going to make one on a high-pop server and probably one on a low-pop server. We already have our character up here, but I'm thinking we should probably make one on a low-pop so that way I can give you guys the best experience possible.
NewWorld's character creation is interesting as there's no classes to choose from. Instead, you load immediately into a cutscene followed up by a very little character customization, which is kinda weird for a newer game.
That guy looks sick. This character customization is kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. Ain't a fucking queue, are you serious?
After creating your character, it's immediately followed up by another cutscene where then it's going to decide where it wants to drop you in one of the two starting zones. Yes, that is correct. There is two starting zones, and one of the starting zones is better, as it technically has more loot and has more things to choose right off the bat, making it where your build can be very unique very early on if you get that zone. But if you get the other zone, then it's not going to be as unique, which just doesn't make sense. Just make them equal so that way I have freedom at the beginning of the game. When first being dropped into the game, it feels really fun and addicting as you get drawn into the game through the combat, the leveling, and exploring, making you want to play for hours and hours on end. It truly feels as if the leveling was really thought out in the beginning because you level very quickly from questing and crafting, allowing the players to go from 1 to 30 within a few hours, and then 30 to 60 within 4 to 6 hours after that.
We gotta hunt these boar. Come here, Mr. Boar. Come here. Mr. Boar, I have found you. Spin. Oh, get him. Get him. Beat his ass. Yeah, that's right, boar. You better run. Loot! 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 Get away from me. Get away from me. I already killed all your brothers. We leveled up again? Holy crap, bro. This is level up simulator at this point.
The leveling isn't all good though. Yes, it is very fast paced and fairly easy, but once you get around 40, it seems to get tedious as they start making the quests across the map from the turn-in points, making the game become a running back and forth simulator where you go to a town, grab 4 or 5 quests, then run all the way across the map to a zone to complete those quests on repeat.
Why is it that every single quest is across the map in this game? Like, I just got to this area, and I have a lot of quests. Like, that's what it looks like, right? But I picked these quests up all the way down here. How am I all the way up here? It doesn't make sense. Like, I understand they don't obviously need mounts if you have everywhere on the entire map to teleport to. But honestly, for a new player, that's extremely overwhelming. Imagine having 50 quests that you can't do because they're so over-leveled that you have to wait to do all of them.
The combat is one of the funnest parts in the entire game as it feels very free-flowing, making the players feel as if they have more control over the combat than they really do, thus making the game feel very immersive and fun whether you're a new or old player coming into the game.
I want to show you guys a few different weapon combinations. So this is my personal favorite. This is for tanking. So you have the sword and board, slash, you know, you can do shield bash, jump on some people, this, and then if you switch bars, you can have a massive hammer that just does really big damage. You can just do a bunch of AoEs that basically apply debuffs and help your team out, and that's probably one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites to use is the assassin build with sword and spear. It's actually pretty good. So you basically have a giant sword that does a bunch of damage. So overall, this is pretty nice. My spear isn't upgraded at all, but you know, you poke people with it, you do bleeds, and it's just a really fun build. So I think it's pretty cool to do. The final one that I'm going to show you guys is Ice Gauntlet Fire Mage. So basically, you take a fire staff, you do some pokes and some prods. Like I said, I don't really have these upgraded, but the staff is pretty cool. You can see the animation pretty well here. And then obviously you have the Ice Gauntlet too. And basically this is just mass AoE, mass damage proc. This one isn't used as much because it's not as powerful as the other two, but it is still pretty good as an overall.
With combat being this way, you'd think exploring the world would be very fun, as you'd be able to test new skills, practice combat, and get more loot. But this is very wrong. In fact, the game doesn't really reward anyone for exploring, as you may get a few items here and there, but they don't really help you in the game whatsoever. I would even say that once you hit 60, there is no point in questing unless you're trying to do in-game quests for in-game items to make it a little bit easier for you to get into in-game dungeons, making exploration one of the worst things in New World. Progression is pretty fast and easy to understand in New World, as all you really have to do is buy some base level 60 gear, run some dungeons, and do dailies to allow yourself to catch up quickly. When buying gear from the market, there's two different things you can do. You can either buy base gear that allows you to just get into some level 60 content. You should be able to do it fairly easily, but it will be a little bit of a struggle. You can also buy completely maxed out gear if you so desire as well, as long as you have the gold.
I think one thing about New World is that you can buy anything off the market, which is kind of cool, but everything's so expensive. So this is usually how I do my filters. I do $5.90 minimum. Then I usually search by price. So you can go up or down. Doesn't really matter, whatever you're looking for. But everything that you need is expensive, right? So if I want the best item in the game, I have to completely get to gold cap, then buy the best item in the game, which is good. It makes everything very exclusive. It's just really interesting because it feels like there's almost no point in dungeons at that point. You could honestly just be a farmer and just buy everything. Buy your gear, buy your weapons, buy your armor, buy your rings, your earring, whatever it is. You could buy off the market very, very easily if you just grind out life skills instead. And then you don't have to worry about ever doing anything besides life skilling.
Dungeons in this game are very easy to understand. Most of the time, it's as simple as avoiding a circle or an obvious attack. Other times, you may need to look up how to do a fight for a main boss or ask your group. The biggest issue with dungeons is the community, as they are extremely toxic to the point where 99% of the players will get mad if you don't know how to do the dungeon 100% perfect on your first try. But there is that 1% that will help you understand and enjoy them. Finally, we have the dailies, probably the most simplistic part of the progression, as you just have to log in and play the game. There are many different ways to do dailies, from doing dungeons and chest runs to simply doing PvP and gathering, allowing anyone to progress throughout the game no matter their play style, thus making the game very easy to log into every day, as all you need to do is to play for about 1 to 2 hours in order to progress.
Alright, we're gonna queue up for some PvP. I haven't played in a hot minute, so keep that in mind. I'm terrible. Let's go, boys. We got in. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Hurry up, open it up. Bro, oh my god, I'm spamming the wrong ability. What am I stuck on? Well, we got fucking rolled. So, good times. But we got our daily done, boys. Let's go!
Even though there are many wrong things in the game, there's still some things that I really enjoy, such as the immersiveness. Honestly, the game feels very immersive. It feels like I can play the game for hours and hours a day. The combat, as it does go in with the immersiveness, but it just feels so good to keep doing over and over again, and it honestly is probably one of the only reasons I played as long as I did. The life skills. Honestly, the life skills are pretty fun. Like, I enjoy cutting the trees, I enjoy mining the rocks. I think all of it's very satisfying. You can just throw on some music, chill, and have a good time. And the dungeons. As long as you don't get toxic people in your dungeons, the dungeons can be a lot of fun. The biggest thing is finding people that aren't toxic and finding people that know what they're doing or are willing to learn. If you can find those people, then dungeons are so much fun, and honestly, I will play them over and over and over again. Obviously, this game has a lot of things that are bad in it as well. Honestly, I think the leveling is extremely tedious. Like, yes, it is very fast paced and it is very quick to level up, but that doesn't mean that it's not tedious. Running back and forth always, and then you only can level up through basically doing quests, is just horrible. The community, like, honestly, it's just really toxic. There's a few people here and there that are cool, but for the most part, it's just people screaming at each other in dungeons or screaming at each other in PvP, and that's about it. The PvP, there is a lot of desync going on. A lot of people know it too. If you have better internet than somebody, the chances are you will probably win the fight. Period. I don't really know how they could fix it, but at the same time, it does need to be fixed. And finally, there's not enough content. Like, if we're just gonna be honest, there's not enough content in this game. If you really grinded out New World like every single day for 2 months straight, 12 hours a day, you could catch up, have maxed out gear, and you'd be big chillin'. So they need way more content to grind for, whether it's achievements, skins, whatever it is, they need it. At the end of the day, New World is neither a good or a bad game, as I feel at the end of the day, everything that is good in the game, there is something that is equally as bad. Honestly, as of current day, it feels as if I'm playing a beta the entire time instead of a fully released game, and I believe this is the biggest thing that's holding New World back. So after playing the game for about 300 hours, I would say the game is fairly fun to play, and you can play this all day with your friends very easily. It does not have a lot of replayability because once you hit a certain point, you are basically just done with the game until next expansion comes out, which means there's no replayability. The graphics are really good. Honestly, for what the game is, the graphics do come together really well, and probably maybe play the game for a little bit longer than I was supposed to. The community is absolutely terrible. They're toxic as hell. There's about 1% of the player base who's actually cool, and those 1% usually stick in their own groups because they know the game is toxic. The game doesn't really have good accessibility. They honestly don't give a shit about their new players. It is fun for a new player to come into the game, but that is about the extent of the accessibility. As an overall, I would give this game a 2 out of 5 at the end of the day. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what game you guys want to see next. I will catch you guys next time on the Go Squad. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.